you all? First and foremost, I just wanted to say a huge thank you for this invitation to speak at your Youth and Young Adults virtual conference. I count it an absolute privilege, and a joy to be able to do this. It's really sad I can't actually be there in person. I wish I could be. That would be so much more fun than recording on a laptop, which is so awkward. And I don't know about you guys, but over here I've had enough of screens. In-person church, in-person conference is obviously the best thing. But while we can't be together in person in the same room, this is the next best thing. So first and foremost, I just wanted to say a huge thank you to you guys for, inviting me along to your conference. It's an incredible privilege to be asked to share what I've learned and grown in over the years. I don't think I'm the most qualified person at all to be speaking to you, but I hope that what I've learned over the years and all the wisdom and encouragement that I've gained, helps to encourage you in your journey as well. Thanks to Pastor James and Pastor Grace for inviting me along. I've been asked to talk a little bit about volunteerism and kind of volunteering. I love that word. I like to frame it as serving within church. I love Jesus and I love his church, and it's always been my greatest joy to build God's house. My parents are pastors and missionaries themselves. They were missionaries in the Philippines for many, many years and still go out often and obviously serve in some sort of capacity. And I've been, incredibly privileged and grateful to be part of that legacy and everything that comes with. So I grew up in the Philippines, in Leyte, and then we moved to the UK probably 11 years ago now. And I've just been serving in church my whole life. My parents are pastors, so it's just something that I've been around. I guess growing up, it was something I kind of had to do because I'm following along with my parents. But as I've grown and kind of encountered Jesus for myself and encountered faith for myself, it's actually just a decision I've decided to make for myself, which is really awesome. I'm actually now currently part of Hillsong Church in my local area here in the UK. So I'm part of a campus in Tunbridge in Kent, and I've been part of Hillsong Church for the last 5 years, and I've been given so many wonderful opportunities to serve and build God's house in a different capacity. So I've been given opportunity to be a worship leader, a youth and young adults leader. I've served on the production team, the host team, which I think is ushers, ushering team, and even the kids team. And that's not the team I'm best on, but I've been given the opportunity to serve on that, which has been so cool. So I've learned so many incredible things along the way, and actually been in the room with some amazing speakers and leaders, and I've been able to just hear nuggets of gold and wisdom. So I hope I'm able to share a little bit of what I've learned along the years with you guys in terms of serving within church and building God's house. I know your theme is around seeing Jesus and changing this generation that we're a part of. So I hope some of this helps to encourage you guys in any way. So like I said, I've been on several teams within church, usually all at once, sometimes in different seasons. But what I found is the biggest commonality in all of that is actually I just said yes when I was asked. I don't always feel like the most qualified person in the room, but one thing I've learned is God doesn't always call the qualified, but he does qualify the called. So it's just always a good idea to say yes if it's within your capacity to do so. If you're asked, say yes. Even if you don't quite know what you're doing, there's usually a reason. I've found that when your leader asks you to do something, it's because they see potential in you, and they see potential for growth, potential to be amazing, and they see a need and want to fill it. And actually, if you're there and you're available, just say yes, because you'll learn along the way. And the motivation is always to bring glory to Jesus. So say yes. I'm really grateful to be a part of a house that actually just gives so much opportunity to contribute. And I know the culture of New Life is very similar, very much the same to, I guess, the culture I'm part of at Hillsong, and that's why I always find when I come back home to the Philippines, New Life is home church. So what I'd say, I guess, first and foremost is that you make belonging a priority. Lean into community and the vision and the heart of your church. Get in a group, connect group, whatever that looks like for you guys. Get connected, that's so important. And then get serving together. Like, I think what made volunteering and serving such an attractive thing is because I've actually met and made so many incredible friends that I now call family. There's something about giving your time in service of others and doing it with a group of people that just bonds you. And, we're all wired for community and friendship and family and love. And actually, the best opportunity to do that is serving in church. Why not? So I'm just going to jump straight in with, I guess, things that I've learned over the years being part of Hillsong. I've had some really cool opportunities to be part of some leadership development nights with probably the most incredible speakers and teachers of the word and leaders within our church and beyond. And I've found a few notes on my phone of things that I was like, oh yeah, that's gold, and I would love to share with you. Kind of around volunteering, but also just hopefully encouraging you just to keep going. If you are already a volunteer within church, or if you're thinking about it, so do it. It's the best thing, and it just gives such a sense of, like I said, belonging, accomplishment, and that sort of thing. And ultimately Jesus gets the glory, which is what it's all about. So if you serve in any capacity in church, literally any capacity, whether you think it's significant or not, you are a leader. Even if you don't think it, you are a leader if you serve. We're all leaders, like not just the people who are currently in positions of leadership, like pastors, that sort of thing. You are a leader. I say that because actually you lead yourself and you lead your heart posture. And actually, in whatever capacity you serve, you're actually part of leading people to Jesus. Whether that's in worship, even if you're not a worship leader, if you're on platform, whether you're playing an instrument, where in the back, you're part of leading people to Jesus. Like, as in my experience of being on platform, people see you more than you see them. And actually, like, you lead on and off the platform. You lead whether you are like serving that day in church, like volunteering that day in church, or just sitting in the service. You are leading regardless, because you never know who's going to walk into the room for the first time. They're going to recognize you maybe if you're walking around. So the way you carry yourself in your heart posture, you're actually part of leading people to Jesus, whether you like it or not. So if you're serving in any capacity, you're a leader, and that's so important to be mindful of. That's what it's all about, isn't it? It's leading people to Jesus. So first and foremost, you lead your heart posture, whether or not you are a leader. If you serve, you lead, if that makes sense, hopefully. Another thing I'll say is that volunteering is attractive, kind of in that same vein of how people can see you. I guess it's wanting to be part of that passion and that life, and so it's all about serving in a way that's attractive as well. So people see you on a Sunday, or whatever team it is, or whatever thing you do in the week. Serve in a way that is attractive, and that Jesus shines through. So it's in the way you carry yourself, in just having that attitude of being willing to serve. And actually, I know you guys are probably already like this. It's probably all things you already know, but hopefully you're still able to take away something from this. It's always really healthy to kind of check your motivations for why you're doing what you're doing. For myself, when I joined church, I just wanted to make new friends. I thought I'd serve because it's the best way to meet people, which is really awesome. But when you get to like the root of it and the why behind the what you do, because serving is not always easy, guys. And you probably know this. It takes up a lot of time and energy, and it actually takes a bit of sacrifice as well. So it can be so easy to get burnt out. And I guess bogged down with the things of life. So if you know the reason why you're volunteering or you're choosing to serve, that's going to be the most important thing. At the end of the day, it's about bringing Jesus glory, and seeing people, find their purpose in Jesus. So yeah, that's kind of what makes it attractive, isn't it? Is when you've got that really great passion and motivation to do it. If you're not quite sure, like, where to volunteer or what to serve in church, I'm so sure there's plenty of opportunity within, I guess, New Life, to find your fit. Like, you may not be the best singer, but actually you might be the friendliest person. So yeah, get on the host team, like, welcome people to church. You might be great with kids. I'm not so great with kids. So actually, yeah, be part of, like, leading the next generation of, young people to Jesus. So it's about playing your part and actually using what's in your hand to make church work. You may be just really great at encouraging people and just being around. You may be great at, like, stacking chairs. That's, like, no small feat. Although I know you guys meet in a theatre, so probably no need to stack chairs. I digress. So just use what's in your hand to make church work. Like, I have found myself probably at a 3-service Sunday, which I think I know you guys do as well, just serving all day in church. And I may not be, like, super useful in all services in terms of, like, okay, I'm on the worship team in the morning, but actually maybe the next service I'm not on the worship team, I'm kind of just there, but actually I'm keeping my eye out, like, are there any new young people around that I can engage and say, hey, welcome to church, are you new here? And just connecting people. Like, the main thing I learned, I think, about being part of a team, that's why I guess I was volunteering, like, across so many teams, is just, I loved our house and I wanted to do whatever it took to make our house attractive, to make our house run smoothly and work. Like, the same way, I guess, in your house and you have a guest come, like, you do everything to be hospitable and, make things beautiful, make things work. Like, that's a great attitude to have when you're volunteering or when you're serving in church or serving in any capacity. Like, this is our house, and actually we don't know who's gonna turn up to church that day looking for something, searching for something, and they may be blessed by just how clean the toilets are. Do you know what I mean? If you're able to serve in that capacity, amazing. It's all about the attitude of, this is my house, this is what I'm a part of, so I'm going to take ownership and I'm going to make it the best it possibly can be. Hopefully that makes sense. I'm just looking through my notes. One thing I've learnt, and I think I've learnt to place value in, is that we honour our leaders as well, those who are in charge of us, so our pastors, and, like, our group leaders or whatever. They've been put in positions of authority for a reason, and so we honour that. And honour it's given. It's not something they earn, it's given. It's like, God tells us to honour, God tells us to honour our parents, like, we honour our leaders as well. We submit to their authority because they actually carry the weight and the responsibility of what we get to be a part of. Make sure that's key. Remember that actually, I love that this is the language that I have around volunteering and around church, and I've learnt to make this a priority in how I view serving within churches, being careful about the language that I choose to use. I'm a words person, mostly with writing, not so much with talking, so I hope I'm being clear enough for you guys. But the language around how we see volunteering and how we see serving is so important, because it can actually change your attitude towards it. So I always say, like, when I have a 7 a.m. call time, which I think you guys are aware of, like, your super early call times when you have to get church set up. But on worship team, we would have, so if we had a 9 a.m. and an 11 a.m. service, which I would serve on team for both, my call time would be 7 in the morning, and I could be enjoying, like, a Sunday off, like a weekend off from a really long, busy, week at work. But no, actually, I'm going to turn up at 7 a.m. and come prepared with, this is in a worship leader context, come prepared with the song and the set list, and actually have my heart ready to lead people in worship. And it may be super early. But the one thing I always remember is, I don't have to be there. I get to be there. And that's a really good way to see it. It's like you get to be a part of making church happen. You get to be a part of seeing people raise their hand and make decisions for Jesus. You get to be a part of people entering his presence. The whole day is worship. The whole day is the message. This is within like a service context. So if you're volunteering in that context, like the whole day is the message. From when people first walk in and you welcome them and say hello, from when they take their seats, from when they see, I guess, the countdown before worship, from when people then hear the songs, to the giving, to handing out like the giving plates or the giving baskets. It's different everywhere. The whole day is the message of Jesus. Like you get to be a part of that. You don't have to do it. You get to be a part of it. And that's so important. Hopefully that makes sense. A few years ago, I was asked within our worship team to give just a few things I've learnt about being on team. And I've got my notes here and I just wanted to include this in as well. And hopefully it just brings a little bit of encouragement and wisdom to where you guys are at. And so one thing that's super important is that you pursue God's presence in private devotion, prepping for a Sunday. So my context with that was like leading within worship, but actually that counts for like just leading in whatever capacity, because like I said, it's all about your heart posture and your attitude, and when you're knowing the why behind the what that you're doing, and that actually comes in pursuing relationship and pursuing intimacy with God, because at the end of the day we do it for him. We are human beings, not human doings, and God ultimately desires just to be in relationship with us, and for us to live in constant communion with him. In this world that we live, like we have responsibilities, we have things that we have to do, and actually I'd rather be doing that with Jesus than not. Pursue his presence in private devotion, get with Jesus, read his word, ask him to give you vision for your life, and that he would reveal like his purpose for you, I suppose. Second thing is carry a can-do attitude. Like, it's not always easy. You may be asked to do something you really don't want to do. Like I said, there's so many opportunities, as you probably might know, to serve within your own church, but carry a can-do attitude. It's so attractive. Which means you'll be given more opportunities. If you're faithful with the little that you're given and what's in your hand, then God will actually trust you with more, and you'll be trusted to do more. And it's never about elevating yourself. Like God elevates you, so it's not about like putting yourself forward, that sort of thing, but it's just being available, being a can-do person, being someone who's willing to make things work, if that makes sense. Another thing that's really important and really cool is actually we're better as a collective, and being in unity. So the attitude of being a team player, not putting yourself above service. We're all together serving the same one purpose, which is pointing people to Jesus. So just make it work, guys. Like, it's all about Jesus at the end of the day. A lot of this is a lot easier said than done. But if you're finding that's something you're struggling with, just ask Jesus to like reveal that in your heart, and get around people who are going to encourage you. Another thing I've learnt about being on team is be open-hearted and teachable. That's super important. It's easy to come in with like your own agenda or your own thoughts of how to do things, but be open-hearted and teachable. Honour your leaders and their authority. Our attitude should be one of constructive criticism that may so you may receive constructive criticism, but that should just, I guess, be met with like an attitude of humility that's going to propel us forward and further. Pursue excellence, knowing that there is grace. Like, we're not going to get it right or perfect every single time, but pursue excellence, knowing that actually there's grace for whatever you're doing. Another thing I really love that I've learnt being part of our church is be exclusively inclusive. Include people in what you're doing. in my context, that was within worship leading, in terms of like knowing who's in the room as a stance on platform, inviting people into God's presence, but actually as a stance on team. You never know who's going to walk through those doors, who may not have ever stepped foot in church before. And as I said, like, it's a really great way to just be part of community, is serving. So actually, whether you serve on the host or welcome team or not, we're all on the welcome team. We're all welcoming people into the kingdom of God, and into his presence, pointing people home. So have that exclusively inclusive attitude, which I know you guys already are amazing at. And be prepared. Like, it's not always easy, and like to just come on a Sunday. We may have had like a really big week. You may not have like the best attitude, but come prepared with your heart more than anything. Obviously, in your specific role on what team you volunteer, it may be like on kids team, actually have the program read so that you know what you're teaching the kids. For those on like worship team, like have the words like known. We had like a confidence screen at the back for the lyrics, but actually prepare and do the work at home and know the song inside out, know the structure, know things like that. So we all have gifts. Keep open heart, serve what we have. Our gift is not what defines us. It's never about you. It's all about Jesus. Just keep that in mind, I guess. Just looking through my notes, guys. I guess another thing that I've really loved, and learnt being part of our team, is actually, if we sow obedience in what we're doing now, we're going to reap influence later, and that's really exciting, because actually, with the influence that we may gain from being a part of a team, and I guess you know what that looks like in your context, it just means that more people get to encounter Jesus through us. We are the hands and feet of Jesus. So another wonderful thing that I've loved about being part of our church is the opportunity to get to volunteer at really awesome things like Hillsong Conference and Colour Conference, which is our women's conference. Actually what's really good to have is actually just making it part of the culture of giving people opportunities to serve in whatever capacity, like I mentioned before. As I said, you're a leader in whatever context you serve, and actually let's, as leaders, create opportunities for people to serve and equip people to serve as well. We are the tangible hands and feet of Jesus on earth, because we don't physically have God in human form on earth anymore. So we are his hands and feet, and we serve other people on behalf of God. Serving awakens such a sense of significance and value. Actually, volunteering is opportunity, which is great. So it's not about the size of the opportunity, whether it's something little or small. It's how you react to the opportunity, and that's what's going to influence and inspire others, because ultimately it points people to Jesus. And that sense of calling and purpose. And actually, that just means that that's going to influence other people in a really positive way. Are we really willing to believe that God, and the fact that he can use us and what little we have to give, or whatever big we have to give, to help impact the city that you're in, and actually the nation that you're in? It's very much against the trend to be serving of others. We live in, I guess, a society in a world where it's all about self-seeking and how can I propel myself forward. And what's really interesting about volunteering and serving is that it's about other people. It's about serving the interests of others. And when we do that, we get such a sense of satisfaction around it. It goes against the trend of the world where it's like me first, putting others first. Putting others first is not a common thing. So be proud of yourselves if you're a volunteer. And actually, if you don't, I hope this encourages you to get involved. there's so many awesome opportunities that arise from that, and there's so many skills that you learn as well from being a part of that. I guess I just wanted to finish with this encouragement. It's like in 1 Samuel 14, and in the context, I think Jonathan is in battle against the Philistines, and he's planning to cross over to the Philistine garrison kind of on his own. Verse 6 of 1 Samuel 14, Jonathan said to his armor bearer, "Come on now, let's go across to the uncircumcised pagans. Maybe God will work for us. There's no rule that says God can only deliver by using a big army. No one can stop God from saving when he sets his mind to it." And his armor bearer says to Jonathan, "Do all that you have in mind. Go ahead, I'm with you, heart and soul." And I love that. I love that posture of, go for it. I'm with you, heart and soul. And that's no small thing to say. And that's always been an attitude and posture that we've, I guess, encouraged within my context of my church, is the thought of, I am with you, heart and soul. And we honour our leaders in the position that God has placed them in. And so actually having that attitude of, I'm with you, heart and soul, in the vision of seeing this next generation one to Jesus, seeing this next generation encounter the goodness of God. Just being at heart and soul. I hope whatever I've said has encouraged you in some way, and that you may have gleaned some sort of wisdom from, I guess, what little experience or that I may have been able to share. As being part of team within church, it's very hard to always put into words. I'm not so eloquent. I guess everything that I've learned, but it's an ongoing thing. Just keep showing up, just keep saying yes to whatever God places before you, and whatever it is, just bring it to Jesus. See it as worship, see it as a sacrifice of praise, a sacrifice of worship in whatever you do, and he honours that, and ultimately he gets the glory. Thank you again so much for this opportunity to just give you a little bit of insight into, I guess, how important it is to be a volunteer and to serve within church. I pray it blesses you, and I pray that God continues to use your ministry and everything you guys put your hand to for his glory and to just expand the kingdom. I hope to see you guys in person very soon when we're all allowed to. Thanks once again. God bless you.